Well, one thing I noticed, I was just thinking about that as I glanced through a few parts of the video the other day, that in the 20 years, the 20 intervening years, there has been a change, especially in the attitude of the Catholic Church towards interreligious dialogue. I remember we felt when we made that dialogue, that documentary 20 years ago, we felt, well, we're really on dangerous ground, and that there would be many people in the Catholic Church that opposed what we were trying to promote, interreligious dialogue. And especially the theological basis. Aren't Catholics supposed to make more Catholics, to propagate their religion? What are we doing talking about respecting other people's religion and understanding other people's religion, and even sometimes encouraging people to be better Buddhists, better Muslims, better Hindus? So we felt we were on shaky ground at that time. There had just been an encyclical that had come out. I think it was Redemptoris Missio, and it was rather ambiguous in its stance towards interreligious dialogue. There were many passages in that encyclical that seemed to encourage dialogue, and also many passages that stress the priority of the Catholic religion, the truth of the Catholic religion, and seemed to go against interreligious dialogue in some way. At least it could be interpreted in that way. Now, in the intervening 20 years, there's been big progress there. Just recently, of course, in Taiwan, we saw Cardinal Paul Shan eagerly reaching out to the Dalai Lama when he came to Taiwan. And many, many church leaders now are more convinced of the urgency and the importance of interreligious dialogue than ever before. And they're less afraid to come out and say that. Everybody, and sometimes, of course, there is controversy. I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, the Archbishop of Taipei invited the Tudigong, the local god, into the church during Mass in one of the areas of the diocese. I believe it was Ilan, and there was a big picture in the paper of Archbishop Hong leading a Tudigong, the local god, into the church. And some people thought it was wonderful, and some people thought, no, this is going too far. But the Archbishop stood his ground and said, no, this is a way of establishing friendship and showing respect for other people's religion. I remember also, I guess it was about 15 years ago, Guangxi Program Service had a program on television, and we were promoting the establishment of Master Xin Dao's Museum of World Religions. And the launch of that museum, which is now in Taipei, it's going Taipei County, and it's going very well. When they launched it, they didn't have too many artifacts from different religions. Of course, they had lots of Buddhist artifacts, Buddhist statues, Buddhist symbols, and then they had a few Christian symbols, Christian statues. So when we aired our program about the launching of this new museum, there were many statues of local gods or Buddhist or symbols from popular religion in Taiwan. And I remember I got a couple of very angry telephone calls from Catholics saying, this program is supported by Catholic money, and here you're showing these pagan symbols on our program. What are you thinking? And really very irate, and they vowed never to watch our program again. But I must say that was a minority. That was very few people. Most of the Catholics who watched that program, many of them went to visit Master Xin Dao at his temple in Fulong. And now it's a common thing for Catholics to take visitors to the Museum of World Religions and to experience what it's like to be praying in a Hindu way or in a Muslim way or in a Buddhist way, because that's how the museum is set up. It gives you a chance to experience the way believers behave in their own context, their own religious context. So although there were some people that opposed it, I think most people were in favor of it. And I can remember, I really do believe that in addition to all the things that we can learn from other religions, how our own spiritual lives and religious lives can be enriched by the experience of other people of other religions, I think it also gives a great witness. I'll never forget, it was during that same period when we were airing these programs on interreligious dialogue on television that a taxi driver once looked over his shoulder at me and he said, you Catholics are Handbaurong, meaning you really know how to embrace all kinds of people. And I said, well, where did you get that idea? And he said it was from watching our program. He said he really didn't expect Catholics to be so all-embracing and so eager to embrace people with beliefs that were not exactly the same as theirs. So I think in the Catholic Church, this openness to all people of goodwill, regardless of their beliefs, I believe it's growing, and I think there's no turning back. I hope there's no turning back. Although you always do, in instances like this, you do notice a backlash sometimes. There are people that become even more entrenched in their own belief that there is only one way, and that's our way. I truly believe that if anybody thinks there's only one way and sticks to that belief and excludes other ways to God, I don't think we'll ever have peace. I think it works against peace, and I'm sure it works against peace. Well, I think that it's certainly hasn't reached the fullness of its potential, but I think not just the internet, but all the ways of communicating on a global level now, satellite communication, YouTube, all of these things, I think, give us information that we never had before, and give ordinary people the opportunity to see close up the goodness of other peoples, of other cultures, of other religions. Of course, it also works the other way. People that are against interreligious dialogue, that are just selling their own thing, promoting their own thing, they also have many more ways of communicating their message to the world. So will it balance out? Will one win over the other? I'm not sure. I really don't know. But certainly, I think people of goodwill, if they want to know more about other religions, they have it at their fingertips. And if they have questions about the relationship between their religion and other religions, I also think they have at their fingertips possibilities of finding the answers to those questions. So even though we have these means of communication, they won't deliver the message to our doorstep unless we ask for it or search for it or open our minds to it. But certainly, I think there's a lot of potential there for increasing understanding between cultures and religions. I have the sense that while the internet is playing its part, the television, especially with satellite and cable television, in the last 20 years now, we have access to many more programs, international programs, than we ever had before through satellite. And of course, if people know how to do it through the internet, they have access to even more channels, international channels. But that, I think, is one of the in my own mind, maybe I'm prejudiced because my work is television, but I think that's one of the best ways of bringing the beauty and the truth of other religions to people. They have, for instance, a simple example now, the Travel and Living channel. It's a very popular channel all over the world, at least in the English-speaking world, and I think there are similar programs, similar series in other languages. That's an entertaining way of getting into, of seeing firsthand, up close, people of other cultures and other religions. We see them, how they worship. We watch interviews of them. I think that's going to help a lot. I'm all for using popular culture to improve relationships between religions.